Hey everyone, and welcome back to the last session for day one of the user conference. I'm really excited to end today with really strong with Cheryl Gokey, the marketing operations manager for America's Credit Unions. You may recognize them as the CUNA. She'll share a little bit more about that name change in a little bit, but she has so many wonderful things to share on how she has helped really configure RoboHead to work for her team and the projects they are working on. So before I turn it over to Cheryl, I'm just going to share a couple of housekeeping notes just to make sure you can get the most out of the conference. So, first and foremost, we want you to engage with both the presenters here, but then also with just other RoboHead users. You can do that with those icons on the right hand side of your screen. There's a chat function as well as some Q&A. So feel free to leave comments, ask questions, and we'll do our best to engage with those and respond as we are able. And then we also just want you to be able to get as many entries into those really cool door prizes as possible. So you'll get one for each session that you attend, but then you also can get an additional 10 entries by leaving us a review on G2. So you'll have that link in an email, but if you can't find that, you can also go back out to the lobby and then go to the info desk, and there you'll get the link and any other details you need for this event. And then lastly, we hope that these sessions really resonate with you and you'll want to watch them again or maybe share them with a colleague so that you guys can apply something that you learn. All of the recordings are available as soon as the session ends. So just go back out to your agenda page and you'll be able to get those. And like I said, access them yourself or share them with a friend. So that's all I have to share with you. I'm really excited to turn it over to Cheryl for all that she has to share. She's going to pull up her presentation right now. Great.
Thanks, Abby.
Yeah.
And so I am part of America's Credit Unions, formerly Credit Union National Association. We are the National Trade Association for Credit Unions. We recently went through a merger vote, and as of January 1st, we will be known as America's Credit Unions. We have been using RoboHead since 2015, and it was brought in by a previous leadership. And so we've been kind of working with it over the past year and a half to transition it to work for our current environment. Since the start of 2022, we've shifted to using the automation and the request module to increase efficiency and decrease manual processes. We're a 2022 member marketing team, which encompasses marketing, content, creative services, and operations. I am the marketing operations manager with a focus on traffic management. Management is one of my duties, and I've been managing RoboHead since 2022. We move 70-ish event promotions and numerous product promotions in the association's overall advocacy efforts through RoboHead. We have over 500 active projects moving through RoboHead at any given time. Our creative services team are the main users of the request module. They work with our marketing department as well as our 240 employee company. So we get requests from all over our organization throughout the days, weeks, months, year. We switched to using the request module in December 22nd of in 2022 because there was nothing like trying something new over the holidays. We chose this time due to the low volume of work the last couple of weeks of the year. And in early January, we had a company-wide meeting for anyone who makes requests from our creative services team and walk them through how the system would work. Previously to the creative services team using the two different design request intake methods, we used the traditional emails through an attached PDF form, which resulted in lost emails, missing requests. We'd be unable to track projects when a designer was out of office without yet another email to let somebody know what was going on. From there, we switched to using a Microsoft Forms, which would create a Microsoft Planner task card that was generated and then accessed through Microsoft Teams via Power Automate. It helped in a lot of ways, but it still resulted in a lot of manual work from our designers having to transition the information into RoboHead because we still needed to be able to track what they were doing. And so they transport pose numbers. It would require some manual corrections on the back end because we do internal billing with our finance department. And it could get a little down a rabbit hole trying to find the correct numbers and understanding where something came from. Sometimes our designers just weren't aware of the fact that the request was finished. And then there was still that same problem as if somebody was out and we didn't know why and it was unexpected, we would still have to figure out what they were working on. So due to the two methods above, people within our company are really used to at least working with our creative services team. So we had a standardized process in general. When we switched to using the RoboHead request module, we had very little pushback, but we do also maintain an internal web page that's dedicated to how to make a design request and then how to use RoboHead through some frequently asked questions and RoboHead documentation to show them how to fulfill their request. The request module benefits have been just great. We've increased our transparency with a centralized place to see all the requests coming in. We've been able to quickly and efficiently move projects among the team members. So if somebody's out, we can get it onto somebody else fairly quickly. We're able to set up templates for reoccurring projects to cut down on re-entering the same information. And that means both showing our requesters how to use draft projects or draft requests as well as with templates on the back end of our design team so that they can so the RoboHead can tell them which template goes with which project. One of the benefits that I've found of using the request module is that we still do get a few people that try to get the request snuck in a different way, like via email or just a random conversation. And so I'm able to submit the request for them. And then once it's submitted through the system, you can change the requester on the back end through the drop down menu and get it to the correct person. I still do have to reach out to the person and let them know what's going on, but overall, it doesn't really seem to slow down the actual process. Another thing we implemented with our switch to the request module was using the reviews for all requests. So all our external department reviews go through the RoboHead system. We try as much as possible not to be sending out one-off emails all over the place with little graphics attached to them. And we do it simply by just a consistent encouragement of the use of the review tool, group training at the start, and that even means sitting down with teams and training them if they have new team members that come on, as well as making myself available as the traffic manager to work with individuals when necessary, because inevitably somebody has a question that's a little unique to them, and it's easier to just kind of walk them through what is going on. One of the other things that we've started embracing very fairly recently is using RoboScripts to be able to help us manage our project flow, because anything we don't have to manually change or send has been just amazing for us. An example of some of the scripts that we use is I would kind of divide them into different categories, but we do have simple scripts, which this is an example of a simple script which is just meant to, once the project status has changed to complete, it archives the project and then it copies the final deliverables to the library tab because we're trying to push RoboHead into being the single source of truth for all our graphics. And then another example, which is this is what I would consider more of a complex script, where the review status changing to complete for our creative services team specifically, so graphics request. And then once the status changed to complete, the files copy to the project level files tab, and then they send an email over to whoever the requestor is, letting them know that, hey, here's your files, and it's got a link to it, and then it expires after 30 days, so that our creative services team doesn't have to constantly be sending extra emails or trying to explain to somebody how to dig a graphic out of a review. How do we decide which kind of robo scripts we run? Well, one of the easiest ways to look at it is that when our creative services team first went into the request module, I tried to ask them to manually switch out the product status. And they did push back on me and say, hey, that's extra steps. I'm not sure I can do it. And so, in the process of our conversation, it came to mind that, hey, if we used a robo script, we can automatically change the project status, tying it to either a task status or even possibly a review. And so we do have ones that will change it from in progress to complete for our creative services team. And the automations make the flow work and it takes out those manual steps off our users. What are we excited about you doing in the future with RoboHead? One of the big things is we're continuing to transition all of our requests through for our creative services team, whether internal to the department or external to the entire company, to going through the request module. Our next big one is trying to get our marketing team to use the request module. So that's one of those big steps you make in life. And it should be really helpful in the longer run to get one process running through our creative services team. A second thing we're looking at is templates. We're still developing templates. We're still getting more templates out there to just increase the efficiency across the entire department. And then on top of it, adding rules within our request form. And I think we can even do it within the project form to grab the correct template. So people are starting with the correct information from the start and not having to manually add tasks in order to get something done. Lastly, we're looking at API integration. I'm currently working with Kathy, our RoboHead rep, to set up an API integration between RoboHead and HubSpot to initiate email requests through to HubSpot from RoboHead for our digital team who handles our email builds. And so they don't have to constantly be going into RoboHead to look for the files they need. They would get like a direct link that would take them to where they need to go and they can just grab what they need. Overall, these are the changes we've made, and I hope some of this information is really helpful to you. And thank you for your time, and I'll turn it back over to Abby.
Thank you, Cheryl. That was all super great information. I love your kind of future goals as well. Those are really practical, and I think they'll help your team even more. So I'm excited to see the future for you guys. Thanks everyone who was able to jump in for this session. We are wrapping up day one, and tomorrow we'll start at 1 p.m. Eastern with Willie Gregory sharing show, don't tell, annotating files on requests, which is going to be another super helpful, super practical session you don't want to miss out. So, thanks again, everybody. Have a great evening.